Welcome back to the CryptoBot channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and the Bitcoin price has broken out of this falling wedge pattern, which is setting up the next technical price target. So I'll be covering that and the outcome of the Fed meeting later in this video, so stick around for that. First, giving you a quick update on this 12-hour Bitcoin chart, and technically speaking, this bullish divergence is still active because we're still seeing lower lows in the price, but higher lows in the RSI. And in fact, over the past one day on the 12-hour time frame, technically we've just formed our first higher low after this bullish divergence, which is a good sign to see so far. But looking in the 12-hour Bitcoin MACD, at the time of recording this video, we still have a lack in momentum. But what is also good to see at the moment is the Bitcoin price holding above the golden pocket, which is sitting at around $37,000 to $38,000 per Bitcoin. And if you're looking at the daily Bitcoin RSI, right now it's looking relatively neutral in this sideways trend. But the daily Bitcoin MACD is getting very close to seeing another bullish cross, which also needs to be confirmed with at least a daily candle close once we do see the bullish cross. And over here on this daily Bitcoin chart, obviously the Bitcoin price at the time of recording this video is still trading within this more neutral price range, this no man's land in between around 40,500 and around 37,000. Because as I've said multiple times over the past 1 week, pretty much, while the Bitcoin price is below 40,000, which is this previous ascending line of support, which could now be acting as some short-term resistance, we are simply not looking overly bullish on the daily time frame while we're below that level. But while the Bitcoin price is still above 37,000, we're not looking overly bearish on the daily time frame. And when you combine this with the price oscillators showing a lack in momentum at the moment, it's been very clear over the past 1 week that the Bitcoin price is mostly looking more neutral rather than overly bullish or overly bearish. And obviously over the past 1 week, we've seen a lot of choppy sideways price action as expected. But considering the date of previous Fed meetings are usually a turning point for the Bitcoin price, for example, the middle of March, right around here, we could indeed see a turning point in the Bitcoin price in the coming days and weeks. And when you zoom into the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, you can clearly see that the Bitcoin price has formed a falling wedge pattern, as I've mentioned multiple times over the past few days. And this specific type of pattern breaks to the downside around 3 times out of 10, but breaks to the upside around 7 times out of 10. So technically speaking, it is more likely to break to the upside, and that is indeed what has happened. And so technically speaking, while the Bitcoin price is in this breakout, we have the technical price target of this pattern at the top of the wedge, coming in at around $42,500 per Bitcoin. But keep in mind, even though that is the price target for this pattern, it does not mean the Bitcoin price is going to go straight to that price target in one straight line or anything like that. So if the Bitcoin price plays out some minor pullbacks on the way to that price target, that is not a problem, just as long as the Bitcoin price does not break below this line right here, which is sitting at around 38,000, because in that scenario, that would invalidate this pattern and basically turn this breakout into a fake out. But as of right now, at the time of recording this video, while the Bitcoin price is still above 38,000, that technical price target at 42,500 is still in play. And now giving you a quick update on the US stock market today. This right here is the Nasdaq 100 index on the daily time frame. And at the time of recording this video, the Nasdaq 100 index is still trading around that $13,000 level of support, which is where these previous lows are coming into play back in February and March. So this is definitely an important level for the Nasdaq 100 index to hold above, because otherwise, if we flip previous support into new resistance, that would obviously be a very bearish signal for the markets. But while the Nasdaq is holding above 13,000, we're not looking too bad. And zooming into the 4-hour time frame for the Nasdaq 100 index, and technically speaking, we still have this active bullish divergence between the price action and the RSI. And the last time we saw something like this, after a decent sized pullback, was in the middle of March, and right as that happened, we had a Fed meeting. And so obviously, as I've mentioned over the past few days, right now we have a lot of similarities to what we were seeing back in March, because the month before the Fed meeting back in March, we saw a lot of bearish price action leading up to the Fed meeting, because obviously anytime we're leading up to an important time in the market like that, that can bring a lot of uncertainty and a lot of risk and a lot of fear about what the decision may be, which results in a lot of bearish price action, and that is also caused by the stock market simply pricing in another interest rate hike. So then the moment we got that interest rate hike, which was right here on the chart, just after we formed a bullish divergence, because of the fact that that interest rate hike was already priced in, and also because that reduced uncertainty in the markets, which technically reduces some risk in the shorter term, we saw a decent recovery for the next couple of weeks in the stock markets and also in crypto prices for the rest of March. And so if there was ever a time for the stock market and the crypto market to turn around back into the bullish direction, it would probably probably be in the coming days and weeks simply based on this previous example. And now getting into the most important part of this video, which is the outcome of the Fed meeting, and we got what we expected, a rise in interest rates by 50 basis points, 0.5%. So this is taking interest rates from 0.5% already up to now 1%. And this interest rate I'm talking about, by the way, is the federal funds rate, which essentially puts pressure on retail banks to raise their interest rates as well. And technically speaking, anytime rates go up, that is more bearish for markets because it means borrowing money is more expensive. And generally speaking, a lot of investors use borrowed money to acquire assets, especially in real estate, but also in other asset classes as well, which is why when interest rates go up and debt becomes more expensive, that is technically bearish for the price of assets. But even though a rise in interest rates by 0.5% is actually quite a big jump, and in fact, this is the first 50 basis point interest rate hike that the Fed has done in about 2 decades. So this is definitely a big deal, but keep in mind, this raise in interest rates by 50 basis points or 0.5% was already the most likely scenario heading into this Fed meeting. So the majority was already expecting a 50 basis point hike. And usually when the majority is expecting something, that gets priced into the market. So because of the fact that we got what we expected, this technically speaking is slightly more bullish than bearish, because once again, this has mostly already been priced in because we already knew about it, which is mostly why we experienced a decent amount of bearish price action over the past 1 month, because that was likely just pricing in this interest rate hike. And the reason why this might be bullish is simply because the Fed meeting is over. And so technically that takes away some uncertainty from the market, which takes away a bit of risk in the shorter term. And anytime you're taking away risk or uncertainty, that is technically more bullish than bearish. And we saw a perfect example of this back in the last Fed meeting, as I just discussed earlier in the video, because once again, it was already priced in leading up to the Fed meeting. And then the moment we saw that uncertainty getting taken away back in the middle of March, we actually ended up seeing a lot of bullish price action over the next couple weeks. And by the way, if you want to get important updates just like this in real time as soon as they happen, make sure to follow me over on my Twitter, and the link to my Twitter is in the description down below and also in the pinned comment. And if you want to know how I continue to make money in crypto even when prices are going down, make sure to check out one of these uploads popping up right here on your screen, because in both of these videos, I reveal how I continue to make money in crypto even when prices are going up, down, or sideways. But anyway, that is it for this update. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.